This is student reference number 07000322, my presentation for my defence of my research proposal.
Question number 1. Why have you chosen to base your research on this company?
Shawfield House is an award-winning 4-star guest house which is embracing the increasing trend by small hospitality businesses to grow its online presence to attract more customers. Established as a bed and breakfast in 1997, Shawfield increased its product offering to include self-catering in 2008. Last year, Shawfield relaunched its website with a newly integrated online booking system and has since added an additional booking system in 2012. However, Shawfield feels that it is struggling with its online presence and wishes to increase this for the year ahead. I've had several seasonal jobs with Shawfield, which includes working as an assistant manager in 2012 over the summer period, and with my trusted working relationship from the time with the business, with the managers, along with my qualifications in hospitality, the managers are happy to give full access to the information that's needed and also their time when needed to support this research project. With the fast changes that are happening in society, with how people access information and now pay for goods, Shawfield House is a good example of an SME in a rural area. In rural areas are having to adapt rapidly to remain in business.
Why are you researching this particular topic?
Following an initial discussion with this business over the summer, it became apparent that this was a real current business issue for the company, matched to the owner's interest to increase their understanding of the online marketing environment. I have a personal interest in this overall trend, which is that more customers are going online to purchase services than they were 10 to 15 years ago. The internet is opening up great opportunities for small businesses with small advertising budgets to research global markets, and is likely to continue to reshape vast areas of the tourism industry in Scotland. As part of my personal wish to have a career in the tourism and hospitality industry, I wish to gain a great knowledge of the opportunities and threats brought by the internet to a small rural SME.
What are your main literature sources and how have you located and accessed these?
The main literature resources I plan to use fall within 3 categories. These are online journals, recent statistical data, and reports and textbooks. The research will include an assessment of Shawfield's existing online tools and that of its main competitors, along with known examples and case studies of good practice within comparable SMEs. By using a funneling approach, I've accessed a few well-known tourism bodies such as Visit Scotland, along with Scottish Government and the Department of Industry websites for statistical reports and data to gain a summarised overview of the sector. From here, I plan to then select journals and textbooks which are available through the academic resources, and I've got one of them is the core textbook that we've been given, which is Research Methods for Business Students. It's the 4th edition by Saunders, Lewis and Thornhill. I also purchased 2 books myself, one which was recommended to us, which is called Doing Your Research Project, which is by Judith Bell, which is a 5th edition, and also the Good Research Guide, which is a 4th edition by Martin Denscombe. And in addition, I plan to use trade magazines, and I've decided to use the Hotelier magazine for that, and websites where possible.
What is the overall aim of your proposal and why?
The overall aim of my proposal is to gain more knowledge and therefore have more depth and breadth on the subject of online reservation systems, and to reveal the needs that businesses have for these systems, also along with revealing the difficulties in their implementation.
What are the research questions you are setting out to answer?
My research questions, my objectives I'm setting out to answer is the first one is to research the market segment or market segments for Shorefield Guesthouse along with the self-catering as well. The second one is to investigate and compare the booking levels for each online system that Shorefield House currently uses, and the two which it currently uses is a Queensborough group, that's the one which is linked directly to the website, and also it uses Late Rooms as well, that's their latest edition. The third question is, through the use of secondary research, I'm going to investigate which current online reservation systems are the most successful. And then finally, fourth one, is to make recommendations on my findings which will increase online bookings for Shorefield.
What methodologies are you using to conduct your research and why?
For the approach to my research, the methodologies that I will be using will be both qualitative and quantitative approaches to collect the data. This will be done through a questionnaire, which will be one for the businesses that will be contacted, and one for all the guests that will be contacted. These questionnaires for the business will all be quantitative. This means that the data will be simpler and quicker to collect and compare, and whilst also, because of quantitative, it's not giving the opportunity for the businesses to be biased towards their own products and services. When it comes to the guest questionnaires, they'll also be quantitative, but I will give all the participants the chance to leave their own comments, so there will be at least one qualitative question. For the analysis, this will be done through SPSS, that will be for the guest questionnaires. With SPSS, this means I can collect the data and also present the data in a variety of ways, such as charts and graphs. Right now I have not decided which ways I'll present the data yet, but as I've said, with SPSS it gives me a wide selection. The reason I'm choosing questionnaires is really because of the distance of all the people, which they're now back in their home places, and all the previous guests, that is, and so I can email them and it will be a low cost method, and it was ideal to use both quantitative and qualitative because I can choose to use those where and when throughout the questionnaire. The SPSS is accurate and it's not time consuming, and with the data already entered, this makes the presentation of this data much quicker and efficient.
Who are your research sample and how will you gain access?
The research sample are the previous guests of Shorefield House for both the guest house and the self-catering. I will discuss with the management and hopefully be given access to all the guests' contact information from 2011 to 2012. From then, a percentage of people will be selected at random from each month that Shorefield was open for business, and then they will be contacted either through email or post, depending on what contact information they left with Shorefield House. I will inform management of all the guests that have been randomly selected to answer these questionnaires, and all data will stay within Shorefield House and used for this single purpose only. For contact with the businesses, I will contact the two companies that Shorefield already do business with, which is the Queensborough and the Late Rooms. I will also carry out research to see which other companies will be most beneficial to be in contact with. And again, after doing this, but before getting in contact, I will inform management of the decisions that I've made.
Are there any ethical or special issues to be considered?
There are no ethical issues to be considered for this research project, and all the guest information shall be kept confidential and kept just for its original uses for Shorefield House. A situation or possible limitation that needs to be considered is the language barrier for some guests, as English not being their first language. Because of this, I'll need to make sure that the questions that are going to be asked are direct, as well as simple to understand and to answer, and to make sure that all questions mean the same thing to all people that are answering them.
What are you doing to ensure the validity of your research?
To ensure that my research is valid, I will make sure that all the questions that I will ask to both the businesses and to the previous guests of Shawfield will be direct questions. Therefore, the clearer the question, the more constructive the response I will gain, and the more accurate and constructive the response, the more accurate it will be in analysing these responses. I will fully explain myself before asking any questions so all participants know exactly what is required of them, and I will not try to fill in any blanks but adjust or ask additional questions if any of the data does not line up to the objectives that have already been stated.
What do they anticipate will be gained through your research?
Through the research, firstly, I hope to gain a much wider knowledge of not only reservation systems, but on the depth of work and time it takes for a company to research and implement the most efficient system. I also hope that the research that is being undertaken and the recommendations that will be given at the end will benefit Shawfield House not only for the guest house but also for the self-catering, and therefore successfully increase their online presence and booking through an online system. Thank you.